All right guys, welcome to another M5 video. We've got the E39 here. A couple of updates for you. One, hopefully the most obvious update aesthetically is the window tint. I will put a couple of pictures of the car previous to what it is now. So there was definitely some tint on the rear and none on the front doors. So we went with a gentleman's 35%, which I will take you around the car in just a second. So 35%, if you guys remember from my black E39, I went with 20%, which is normally what I do. That's what is on most of the cars. Actually, the M3s is not 20, but the truck's 20, the E46 was 20, the M5 was 20, the Jeep was 20. This car is 35, and I went with a little bit lighter just because it's more of a, like I said, gentleman's percentage. It's still dark enough to where it actually helps and looks good, but it's not quite as dark. So it's just a little bit a little lighter. And I think you guys will really like it, especially on this car with the gray. It just looks really good. The other thing, which my buddy Tyler at Vortex Detail, he is the one who did the tint, and then also he took care of the paint protection film. So I will put a bunch of clips right now of what the paint protection film was previous to the removal. Right now it's removed, but I will put a bunch of clips right now in the video of what it was. So as you can see, the paint protection film was ancient. He said he wasn't surprised if it was minimum 10 years old, but maybe even 20 years old, because this car is 23 years old. So that paint protection film has been on the car for a very long time. There were a couple small parts where the clear coat came up, so I'll show you that in a second. But generally speaking, most of it came up very good, and I want to give you guys like a quick update on the car. The other thing about the car, I've had this with every older BMW, the brake caliper seized. And this is a Texas car most of its life, so it's kind of frustrating that that even happens. So this brake caliper on the way home from the detail shop and the tint and all that, it literally seized as I sort of aggressively braked on the highway because there was an accident. So I had to nurse it back home at 40 miles an hour on some back roads. Got the brake caliper replaced. I did all new pads up front on both sides, and I did new rotors up front. I replaced the brake caliper as well, so my old one is for sale for pretty cheap if someone wants to rebuild it. But anyways, so that's a quick update on the car. So let's take you around it real quick. All right, so let's start with the window tint. Again, 35%. I didn't do any on the windshield, although with the leather dash, I really did consider it. But this car doesn't sit on the sun very much, so it just didn't really seem worth it. And of course, being in the Midwest, we don't get tremendous like UV or sun, but this is 35% with the black interior. I just think it looks great. Of course, from the rear, you know, you'd be able to see the outline of someone's head and kind of see through it. So it really is the perfect gentleman spec, I would say. You know, some people would say 40 or 50% even, which is more clear. But I just wanted it darker. I really was considering 20%. But I just think the 35 is the perfect medium for a car like this. And for me personally, I think it's a good match for the car and then kind of what I like. So again, 35% of these cars, especially being more of a, you know, classic or whatever you want to call it, I think is functionally good and also it looks really good. So let's go do a little tour of the updated PPF. I know you guys saw the before, but you are going to see the after, which let's start with this front here. This car has not been detailed or anything, so the PPF was just removed, and you can see sort of a faint remainder of where the PPF ended. And that's another reason why you wouldn't do a partial hood ever. For me, if I ever did PPF, like new PPF on a hood, do the whole thing. Like, it's not that much more money, and then you're dealing with a line which you'll see forever, and then you have potential sort of UV differential from where the PPF is if you ever remove it. Again, I'm gonna have to polish this and see how obvious that sort of change is right there with where the PPF was, but it's definitely better, no doubt better. So let's make our way down to this front bumper, which I told my detailer, which sounds kind of weird to say, but he's my PPF and tint guy really, but I told him to just leave this front bumper because it wasn't faded, and I wanted to leave some protection for now, and we were a little bit of a time crunch and I just wanted the car back. So I said, I'll borrow someone's steamer and take this off if I want to, but the license plate holes will be a project. So I said, just leave it alone. It's protected. It doesn't look the best because we still have the license plate holes. But for now, you know, it's in fine shape. You know, there's a few issues with it, and you can even see there's a seam right there. So the install, you know, probably is not the best. But for now, I'm like, just leave it alone. It's already on it. We've been monkeying around with enough on this car, especially with the brake caliper. You can see this wheel is very dark from the brake dust where the rotor was pretty much, you know, almost seized on it. But I did new rotors, and I did new Akabono pads, and I did a new recently rebuilt caliper. So thank you to Adam, who is on the forums and selling, constantly selling parts and all that stuff. So nice to get that done, even though it was just so annoying after I got the car back. As soon as I got it back, it was like broken again. So old BMW problems. But you'll see on this mirror here, again, this is problematic potentially, because now we have a partial mirror that we removed the PPF on. My buddy Tyler removed it. And now there is a difference of color, you know. So I'm going to polish this and see, you know, that's not lighting. Like this right here is where the old film was, right here. So I'm going to polish this, potentially do a little bit of wet sanding. I'll do some videos for you, and it's very frustrating. So really what you would do, repaint the damn thing. Or, you know, you could put another piece, like a new piece, just over it. So if there's going to be a line there, you might as well have a piece. So I haven't really decided yet. What I might do is just polish it and kind of see how it comes out. Pretty frustrating. Again, that's why you don't really do a partial. So if you're going to do a piece, do the whole thing. So that's kind of the lesson here. So down here is really the carnage area, which is pretty unfortunate, but this is really one of the few spots where the clear actually did pull. So I'm gonna have to get a Dr. Color chip. Ideally, it would be a respray. We've got this area, which really just looks like scratches, but when he was pulling it up, it's just, yeah, to be honest, he actually said he wasn't surprised more came up. So for what that's worth, I'm pretty frustrated. You can probably hear it in my voice. That wasn't there before, but we don't have a giant like matte rectangle anymore, but we do have some freaking paint failure. So frustrating. Old cars, old PPF, and that's why you know, maintain it and things like that. So again, just a reminder to do what you can do and maintain what you have properly. So that'll be another project. I think filling that in with some Dr. Color chip or something like that is probably the interim fix for it. Long term, I would like to get, you know, for example, the hood resprayed and then just put a full piece of PPF on it. That would really be nice, because then, you know, I wouldn't be quite as scared, you know, driving on the road and things like that. It's nice. Like the M3, of course, it's covered, but the whole car is PPF. So I'm really not scared, you know, driving with other guys or driving the road. There's a lot of safety there. Again, it doesn't fix everything, but anyways, there's a piece here, which you can see maybe a line. The lower panels I'm not too worried about. They'll polish out, and they're very low in the car, so even when you walk up to it, it's not as obvious. So walking around this rear section, this was very matte. So it was almost like they used like XPEL Stealth. It was all jacked up and just like fading and cracked, and it looked really bad. So this section on the other side as well came out very good. You know, there's not a huge difference. There's a tiny bit of, you know, glue or kind of a differential there, but I think that'll come out with some polish. But you can see kind of where that ended right there. But there's a huge square, you know, guys will remember, I'll put a picture here, a video of where that was. And I'm not gonna put a new piece there. I've never really had an issue. I don't have spacers on this car, and I'm not really having an issue with like rocks kicking up on that panel specifically. It's not really like a high impact area, you know, like I can see like cars with like wider tires or wider hips where like the Porsches have a piece here where it sticks out a lot. But for this car, you know, it has great body lines, but I just never really had that issue. So we're gonna leave it off. Last part back here, this was also very matte, not glossy or anything like that. And I'm just gonna leave that piece off. So he took it off and we're going to leave it off. And definitely looks better. So if you guys look at the before pictures, we've got a lot glossier paint. And of course, a solid detail will do it a lot. But yeah, so that's the update here. Really nice to have that done. And I think once we get the headlights, which I just refinished with my clear coat kit. I'm gonna say, I apologize, I didn't do a video on it because I did do videos on my carbon black car where I refinished the headlights. So if you are interested in how to refinish headlights, that video is pretty good. So it's like 5 or 10 minutes long, and that's gonna give you the same information I give you now. So I will do an install video of going from pre-facelift to facelift, which I know there's people that are like, man, it's so era specific and it really works on the car. And I really don't hate those headlights, the ones that are in there now, especially because they're only like a year or two old. So if someone does want to buy them, I will definitely sell them to you. So send me an email, link in description. I'm just used to it and I like it. So it's what I prefer. And it is, you know, OEM for what that's worth. So anyways, yeah, so that's kind of the update on the car. The paint protection film is done, especially this upper area. I mean, this just ruined the front of the car for me, which is still frustrating that there's a faint line there. That'll be an interesting detailing video for the future. We've got this bumper here, which is still a little frustrating. You know, this is a rock chip. So again, this will actually still be on its way to being cleaned up. There's a chance, I mean, I'll be honest with you, there's a chance I just may rip this off myself and just go, you know, without paint protection film. And then in like a few years, I'll just get respray and then just get it redone. So we'll see. I really would like to keep this car long term. It's such a good color, and like besides the Avis blue, I mean, this was really just a second or third option. So grateful to have it. But anyways, yeah, so new wipers. I did trunk struts. I did a detail. The PPF is done. The tint is done. I mean, it really kind of looks light. Being in the garage, it does give it a little bit of a different impression. Trunk struts are done. I don't know if you'd be able to tell the difference in video only. So I did the replacement trunk struts, the Stabilis. I did not do a video on it because it's very straightforward. And I did one on my black car, so that's kind of my cop out here. But anyways, yeah, so good to do trunk struts. Cleaned up this area. That's actually in a video. Oop. But that's just the little things. We'll do a quick interior shot, so hopefully nothing too bad in here. Interiors generally probably about the same. I did like a wipe down again. Frustrating that it's an updated steering wheel, right? It's a facelift steering wheel, but it's all screwed up and faded, so it's really frustrating. Leather reek on the seats will happen once summertime is here. Let's do a mileage check for fun. 135, 188. Drove it to work twice this week. And that's about it. So that's the update on the M5. All right, guys, so that's about it. Just wanted to give you a relatively quick update on the car. Tint and PPF is a big deal for me, especially because that gets us one step closer to doing a full detail with paint correction, polishing, coating, all that stuff. And I haven't really decided exactly what I'm gonna do next, but I do have the headlights, and then I have a box of spark plugs and filters and coils. So I'll do videos on that shortly. But you guys are gonna have the majority of the updates The brakes and rotors, I needed to get that done, and I wanted to get the car like roadworthy. So for me to film it was just not, you know, sometimes I just like to work on the car, you know, just by myself, like loud music, just in my own little zone here. So anyways, I'm sure you guys can appreciate that. But yeah, update on the car. It looks so much better. I don't know about you guys on camera here, but it really feels more like my car now. We got the paint protection film, we got the tint, window tint. Just really, it makes a huge difference, especially when, you know, obviously when it's sunny out, but just the whole aesthetic of the car looks a little more tied together. So update on the car, more to come. Thank you guys again for watching. Again, I know there's a lot with these cars, so shoot me an email or leave me a comment, whatever works for you, and I will see you next time.